Catch Health, Home, and Lifestyle every Tuesday following KUM News Prime Time. We've got you covered with health and lifestyle news each Tuesday on the stations of KUM and our digital streaming platforms. Health, Home, and Lifestyle is brought to you by The Medical City, your trusted partner in health.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Hello, everybody. I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling golden. It's because of the Olympics. I'm feeling golden, I'm feeling silver, and I'm feeling bronze. And on our medal podium right now, Liz and Gina, they're sharing the gold medal. Okay, I'm on the other side. They're tied for gold because they're literally my golden girls. And we are talking today because I have found, like my most wonderful realtors because I've talked to the two of them both here on Zoom and in real life, gotten to know what they're all about, found their professional interests, and see how they care about me as a potential consumer. Gina, we were talking last week about some new policies that are going to go into effect very, very soon that have things to do with the realtor and the client relationship. So maybe I was thinking this week we can talk about how do you actually know what the right realtor for you is? We talk a lot about, this is a relationship, right? So how do you actually find the right match?
Yeah, you're right. We talked about, the National Association of Realtors has, our guidelines have come down that on August 17th, we're going to, in order to show property to buyers, we have to have a buyer's agreement. So the buyer has to sign either an exclusive or a non-exclusive agreement with the realtor saying we represent their interest, either for that property or for that moment in time or for that price range. I mean, whatever your arrangement is with your realtor, but it will be a contractual obligation. It goes into effect August 17th, so we can't even show you properties until that agreement is signed. But then what do you ask? How do you interview a realtor? Because now, that agreement also addresses compensation. How are you going to pay your realtor? And so you really need to think long and hard about some of the questions you should be interviewing your real estate agent, asking the right questions. And for me, it's about experience. How much experience do you have in the real estate industry? Because I think that's important. I know when I hire contractors or when I hire professionals in other fields, that's one of the things that I want to know. How much experience do I have? That plays a big role for me. How about you, Liz?
Yeah, and the other thing is to educate buyers now that yes, they do have choices, but they should ask, as Gina puts it, the right questions. And one of the things we wanted to bring up is there are different types of agreements that they will be signing. Is it exclusive to the one property? So the document that they sign should have a start date and an expiration date. And one thing I want to make sure is you're not bound. Do you want to be bound to that agent for all the properties you're seeing? Or do you want it non-exclusive for the one property you're looking at? So you should ask the agents a number of questions. What am I bound to? Is this for one property or for all the properties I'm going to see? Because one thing we do want to state that, let's say, for example, Jason, you see a piece of property, you already signed a document with Gina, and then you saw another piece of property, but you're not aware of the type of document you signed, and you called me to show you that property. Once you have a document, I'd ask you, what did you sign? Because I cannot show you this property if you have an exclusive document that's signed. So there are a series of questions a buyer should be asking in the course of their interview for an agent, because as Gina and I have done over the many years, we would size up properties or put a list together for the buyer based on their budget, based on what they qualify. But now there seems to be more questions in the process because compensation has to be addressed. And a good agent can negotiate the compensation on the other side. Now, the problem is if compensation for the buyer's agent is not available, then that discussion, what if, would have to be discussed on the front end. What if we're able to get the compensation handled by the other side? And what if it isn't handled by the other side? What then? So we need to prep a buyer on all the different scenarios involved in the buying process.
Hmm. Gina, it seems like say for a prospective buyer like me, right? And someone who would be, say, if I was going out and I was looking for the perfect realtor for me, just me thinking the way I do, I would kind of see there are like two major components, right? There's a component of the personal touch. Does my realtor take the time to understand me and my interest and possibly link me up with the best possible property for me? And then the more quality or quantitative way, are they going to fight for me and get me the best possible deal so that I'm not going to wind up either overspending or, get shorted as far as the property. So I kind of want to find a realtor who can kind of, navigate and maybe get like a happy mid-range between those two. That's kind of
I
a tall
think,
order for you guys though.
no,
Mhm.
not at all.
Okay. How so?
I think those two key points are critical. You're absolutely right. When we're dealing with sellers or buyers, the one thing that is most important to us is, what is your goal?
Mhm.
If you're purchasing, what is your goal? What are your hopes and expectations? Because it can't just be about taking you around and selling you a house. It isn't like that. This is, whether you're buying the house as an investment or to live in as your home, knowing what your goal is and knowing what drives you sometimes plays a major role. I mean, you tell us A and you end up buying B. And the only way we get to B is because we understood you and your goals and your desires and your capability. Because and a lot of buyers don't understand, they know they want to buy a home, but the rest of it is something we discover as we ask you all kinds of questions. And sometimes, maybe we do go overboard in asking, but we believe if we get to really know you and understand what your objective is, we can guide you towards the right property, even if it doesn't quite fit the description you gave us. So knowing you is absolutely critical.
And there's
And then
there's the key part, right? So should
yeah,
I be, yeah, and I would assume that I could be, Liz, very forthright, and I could either say, okay, I'm 23, my longtime girlfriend and I just got married. We both just graduated from college. This is our first home. We want to have kids in maybe 2 years, and we're just starting out in the business world, so we don't have a ton of money yet, as opposed to someone being 45 and saying, I'm about to make vice president within the next 6 months. My spending my place in the upper class tax bracket's going to go up very, very soon, and I have certain interests and everything like that. So I have to disclose a lot about myself and my personality to you in order for you to link me up with the right thing, right?
That's right. But that asking the questions, a series of questions, so that we can better assist you. And sometimes they could get personal. So I always ask, do you mind if I ask you a series of questions so that I can better assist and serve your needs? And listening, of course, we've had clients that would say, wow, we've had a number of viewing different properties, but it didn't fit our needs or our goals. And that tells me that someone was not listening to what their needs were. So again, we would ask a series of questions in order to meet your goal. But then listening also, I think, is very important. So it's a two-way street. It works both ways. As Gina puts it, there's some people that, call us. We always say, find the right match. Find the agent that you feel comfortable with and the agent that you trust. But also, you should interview and ask the right questions to get the right feel.
And be
We,
honest, everybody. That's what we say on the show. I mean,
yes,
your realtor isn't going to ask you your blood type, your social security number, what your bank account routing number is, and everything like that. They just want to know about who you are as a person and how you would like to live, basically.
that's right. That's right. And again,
yeah.
I need to emphasize now it's different with buyers. There's forms that they have to complete before you go look at property. So again, if your realtor did not have you sign a document, then our policy is we have to have documents signed before we can show a particular piece of property. So again, just reminders to potential buyers, um, because you're bound to that agent. You're bound to that agent, and the binding is dependent on what type of document you sign. And if you came to us, Jason, I would ask you, Jason, did you see other properties? Did you sign any documents? So then I would know how to proceed in assisting you. But if you signed a document with another agent, I cannot help you at that point.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so
And
Gina, final
Jason,
word is please,
well,
please.
you asked another thing. You said, getting to know you, but you said something about negotiations. And those two things are critical. They have to go hand in hand because I could get to know you, I mean, we could become the closest, client, agent, but if I'm not a good negotiator, I'm not going to be successful in getting you into a home. And I think you can tell when you're interviewing your realtor, more or less, you can tell if that realtor is going to be a good negotiator for you. I
It can be
always
a
tell,
nice person. They just couldn't get you necessarily a good deal.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the truth. And that goes for everybody. I could be, I always tell when I'm working with sellers that the key point that I try to stress to them is when you're negotiating on a contractual level and you're talking about compensation to your realtor, if I cannot negotiate a good compensation for my office, I may not be able to negotiate a good sales price for you either. And it goes that way with buyers. You have to be a good negotiator, and being a good negotiator encompasses a lot of things. It's about experience, it's about reputation, it's about diligence. I mean, it's everything. You also have to know the right questions to ask when you're negotiating in behalf of your buyer. And so it's a lot of things. Your agent's really going to work for you, so pick the right one.
All right. And before you get the perfect deal, you have to find the perfect realtor. So that is a little bit of legwork, but it absolutely, trust us on this. Everybody watching this, it is going to pay off in the long run. You will be happy you did so. For ladies, thank you so much. And Liz, for you and Uncle John, please be safe coming home.
Thank you.
All right. And
See you later.
I love the fact that you're actually wearing a salmon colored sweater. The fact that you caught many salmon up there in Alaska.
Yes, we
She's
did. We
insane.
certainly did.
Okay. We're going to share some smoked salmon when you get back.
Yeah.
All
Take care.
right. Bye, ladies.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.